Okay, hello everybody. It's the appointed time. We'll just give everybody another 30 seconds or so to filter in a little bit. So just one moment, please. Okay, let's go ahead. Actually, I just got a quick chat. Let's take a look at that before we get started here. Hi, everybody. Some nice people saying hi already. But for those of you who don't know us well yet, my name is Chris. I'm joined by Tim and Emily, and we're very happy to see you all here today. What I'd like to do today is to walk you through our newest feature. It's called Lisio Vault. And it's going to be, I think, a pretty quick demo. And we want to do is we want to encourage you to go ahead and chat in your questions. You'll see right on the bottom of the Zoom webinar interface, you'll see the ability there to ask questions of us. Tim and Emily will be responding as we go. We'll also summarize questions at the end for the benefit of the whole group. So please do make sure you get all the answers you want to get from us today. Also, I'm going to, after we finish the Lisio Vault part of the webinar, I'm going to give you a preview of the upcoming release that has some new feature functionality that we think you're going to like quite a bit. So with that in mind, why don't we go ahead and kick off, okay? So Lisio Vault, let's start with why we built it and the problems we're looking to solve. So on my screen, you're going to see really the quick summary here. Number one, as you all know, security is top of mind for all of us. We want to make sure everybody stays safe out in cyberspace, right? So if you think about how documents are being exchanged today, a lot of times they're either traveling over email or they're moving between systems, and email is used to send a link to help you log in, to notify you and have you log in another system. A lot of people are clicking on those links, and those of you who are familiar with Lisio know we're trying to train the world as much as we can to not trust links, not click on links. It's fine to notify people, but let's get away from those. So what you'll see today is we're going to reduce the number of links exchanged between you and your clients. That's a big step towards security. Second thing is, if you think about your clients, how many of them can effectively juggle all the systems that are out there, right? And the signal that your clients will give you that they can't is when they ask you, hey, can you resend me that file, right? It means they don't know, or they can't find, or they can't remember where the file is, because it might be an email, it might be in a document signature solution, it might be in a document management solution, it might be in a text message, right? That doesn't really work. That takes away your time and also isn't a really good client experience either, right? So we want to go ahead and help you fix that. On your side, as firms, we know you can spend a lot of time looking for things as well. And you don't just have to look for them, but a lot of times if you want to get something out of one system to another, you need to find it, download it, then upload it, right, in another system. How much of your time does that take? And how fast can we make that process, right? How many steps, how many clicks can we remove? I'm going to show you exactly that today. In addition, we know you need to know who has access to documents. Sometimes things get shared, right? Who has access, we don't necessarily know. It's not easy to find. We want to make sure everything is transparent right at the face of the document. That will stop oversharing. And then each document, if you look at it, you might have a question. Was this a draft? Why does this person have this document? Is there another copy somewhere I should be thinking about, right? Those are all questions we can actually answer for you, and Lisio Vault will handle natively. And then I hope you haven't done this. I know I have, but I hope you guys haven't. Have you ever sent the file or a file to the wrong person? Well, with email, for example, if you do that, you can't recall it. With us, we want to make sure you can bring that back. So if anything gets overshared, you're still in control. So I'm going to show you that today as well. Okay? So let's get into the product. I think the product today is the star of the show. Okay? So let me go ahead and share the Lisio product. And I'm going to do it, I'm going to show you a couple of different things today. First of all, I'm going to show you the firm experience with regard to Lisio Vault. So here we are, firm homepage. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and send a message. So click message here. I'm going to send something to Christine client, and we obviously associate her with her account. Subject is, here is the file we spoke about. The grid is attached. I'm going to attach a grid here, okay? I'm going to go ahead and browse. So I'm going to get a file from my desktop into Lisio this way. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to say this is a October 2019 file that's related to miscellaneous, okay? I'm going to browse for that file. There's my grid, and I'm going to open it, okay? So this is getting a file into Lisio, for example, via a message. And there's other ways to get files in there. I'll show you those as well in a moment. So I'll upload that, and there we go. Okay. So that grid is now attached, grid PDF. And I'm going to go ahead and send that. So now we have a file in Lisio, and our client, Christine, if I unlock here, she gets a notification that she now has that file. So if you ever look, if anybody in the firm asks, hey, do we ever send that file to Christine? What you can do, obviously, you can come out here, go to contacts, and look under Christine, and you'll see under her files, for example, we'll see that the grid PDF is shared with Christine, okay? Another way you can do it is you can look under the file section. If I go straight to files, our standard sort is by date added, and you can sort by any column. But we can see grid PDF is shared between Christine and me. Super simple. So right at the face of the document, you see exactly who has access. You can see it from many different directions. You can also upload, a file to a message to get in Lisio Vault, or you can just upload a file here. You can make the file private to only your firm, or you can share it. I can even upload a file directly and send messages to all of the people you want to, just by filling out the same information you just did on the message. So multiple ways of getting documents in, very few clicks. And it works a lot like email, right? Attach a file, attach a message, send it out. But unlike email, everybody in the firm knows what's happened. Okay? So now we see the grid is associated with the message. If we click on this message, it'll show us what the communication we sent her. So let's expand this a little bit. Let's say we want to share that same file with somebody else. I'm going to go ahead and do it in a different way this time. I'm going to do add new. I'm going to create a task. And I'm going to request information. So I'm going to send this for account core, and I'm going to send this to Mike. Okay. Subject's going to be please review the grid. Want to make sure we have this right. Okay. So I'm creating a task now for somebody else. What I can do is, instead of looking for this file on my computer, I can actually look right in Lisio Vault. I'll click on Vault. I'll see there's our grid PDF. And obviously you can filter and so forth to find any file you want very quickly. I'm going to attach that file from the Vault right into our task. So again, saving upload, download, right? If we were sending an email, we'd either have to forward the email or more likely upload it again. So I'll go ahead and do that. I'll create the task for Mike. When I do that, what will happen is, if we go back and take a look at the file section, we're going to see that the grid is now shared with me, related to the core account, with me related to Christine, and with Mike Allen. Okay? So let's say somebody comes in here and says, what the heck, this file should not be shared with Mike Allen. How did that happen? What you'll see is we're going to give you an audit trail. If you look at the grid, you'll see it's shared with multiple people. If I click on multiple, you're going to see that there's one message here and there's one task here. So I can look at and open either of these. I can look at the message first. We're going to see that I was speaking to Christine 4 minutes ago. This is what I told her. Okay? I can also go back. I click on the task and I said, wow, Mike shouldn't have access to this. How did this happen? I can take a look at it and see that Chris attached the file 1 minute ago. Okay. Now, what's good about this is you have a full audit trail of exactly what happened. If Mike shouldn't have this file on this task, it's easy to handle. We give firms, and only firms, Mike does not have this ability, only you have this ability. You can come into the task, you can take the file away from Mike right here, okay? Boom, it's gone. It shows I attached it, and right in the audit trail, it shows that I deleted it, okay? So now Mike, if he comes back into the task saying, I know a file was here, he knows what happened. Oh, it was there. Yeah, it was there. I'm not crazy. And they took it away from me, and this is how they did it, okay? So now you have total control over your files. What you'll see is now the audit trail only shows the message. The task is no longer shown there. And if I go ahead and refresh this, it's going to show that the file is currently only shared with me and Christine, okay? We'll see that come through in just a second. So that's going to give you a lot more control, a lot more visibility and transparency, and you can do all that with very, very few clicks. It's the benefit of having the context and the files live in the same place. So not only is this going to save you time, it should also potentially reduce your overhead if you're paying for other systems such as a share file and so forth. You know, we have that 2 gig limit, very large files can travel through us, you know, much easier for your clients. And of course, your clients, for those of you who aren't Lisio users yet, what you'll see is if I go out to my phone, your client, Christine, will see, here's the file we spoke about, there's the grid, and if she ever wants to find it again later, she can always go to her file section, and we sort everything for her in chronological order, so she'll see it right in her file section. If she wants to simplify it further, she can always go ahead, look for her miscellaneous files from 2019, month of October, show results, there's her grid, okay? So really, really easy for you, really easy for your clients. So that's a major leap forward, in our opinion, for how files can be shared safely, securely, and easily, okay? So let me go ahead, I'm gonna bring us back out of product for a moment here. And I'm going to go back and show you a little bit more about, you know, how this is all coming together. So if we think about that within the context of, you know, what people are doing today, most people are using email, right? The problems with email are pretty clear. It's great. Email is beautiful because communication and files are in one place, right? And email has a mobile app. That's fantastic, right? Where you get the communication and the apps together. But it's not private or invite only. So if you use a Dropbox or a share file, a SmartVault, a NetClient, CS, anything like that, those are private, but they're using email to basically say, here's all your stuff, click on this link. That's what opens up people, both firms and clients, to the vulnerable phishing attacks. We're trying to move everything to mobile notifications, as you know, and we're teaching everybody to not click on links. So we will send email reminders, but we tell them don't click on a link, log into Lisio directly. Collaboration, we can also send large files, email can't. File organization, that's the problem with email, it's not very well organized, too much stuff there, big problem. Where we start to really stand out is the notion that we have client-facing tasks, right? So we can send a file with a due date, with communication and so forth, right? We also, like email, have all the context and the file together. Nobody else does. They make your clients and you toggle between email and the portal or document management solution. Not ideal. We also are giving you the mobile communication app for firms and clients. We're giving you reminders straight to the phone. We have text message alerts. You all know about that already. And we have free support, so you can glue all this together. And our free support is not only for you, but also for your end users. Okay? So we think we're really starting to stand out, you know, relative to our peers. So at this point, I'd like to change gears just a little bit. I'd like to give you some sense about what's coming next. I know a lot of you have been looking forward to these features. I have more resolution and detail on two of them. One is electronic documents, routing them, getting them signed, and so forth. And that's what I want to show you next. So if you allow me, I'm going to go and show you. This is not live code, but this is what you're going to see in product in roughly 6 weeks. Okay, so we're in the home stretch, more or less, if you will, of delivering what you're about to see. So what I'd like to show you is I can go ahead and create a new Edoc. Okay, if I click on a new Edoc, what you're going to be delivered, or we're going to deliver to you, is essentially a bevy of new features that allow you to send a document for signature that give you a signer order on or off. If you're signing 8879, so you have Kba, you'll be able to assign as many people as you want to sign these documents. So signer 1, 2, 3, Kba or not, and in what order. Okay. For those who aren't familiar with Kba, it's knowledge-based authentication. It's if you need to verify the identity of somebody for government purposes, it'll ask them a series of questions such as, where did you live before? What professional licenses do you have? And so forth, that are IRS qualified or government qualified for ascertaining somebody's identity online. We'll go ahead, you'll have the agreement name, it'll have the ability to send a message, you can keep all that in one place. And guess what? You can attach a file from Lisio Vault, you can browse from one from your computer, or you can attach one from a template, okay? So if I go ahead and hit templates, for example, it'll show me all the templates I have. I can have all my engagement letters here. I can have client onboarding forms here. I can have tax questionnaires here, right? Did you have any kids this year? Did you buy a house, etc.? You have all those templates sitting right here. Just select the template you want to use. Then you prepare the document for signing. It's going to look and feel just like the modern electronic signature providers today, right? You'll have your authoring tools here, drag and drop signature fields, add text fields, check boxes, pretty much everything. So if it's templatized, obviously all that's sitting here ready to go. All you're going to need to do is review and click on send. Lisio, because we're task-based, right, we're going to show you exactly where everything is outstanding. So these are all the documents, electronic documents that are in progress. Here are documents that have been completed and so forth. If I want to go ahead and take a look at a document that's in process, I can see that I requested the document. These are the people signing, and we have tasks for each one of them. So if I were to go ahead and take a look at the task, it would show us when we sent it, all the information in and around the agreement, the due date, and so forth. It'll show us exactly what the client will see when they go ahead and do it. And if the client, for example, let's say you have 3 signers like this one, if one of them says, I will not e-sign, we'll go ahead, they can type in the reasons why they're not going to sign, hit decline, and we will send an update to all 3 signers, or what, to all parties saying why this particular party isn't going to sign the document. It's all going to sit and live in the audit trail on the task, okay? We think this is going to be tremendous. It's going to allow you, unlike a document signing product today, which requires email, right? And you're going to have to send an email and so forth. It's kind of a disjointed process. Everything will live and be tracked and stored in one system. So if you're using DocuSign, you have all these documents sitting over there. You have some in your DMS, you have some in email again, right? No more of that. Everything sitting in one place, accessible by you and by your clients, and totally tracked, totally audit trailed. Okay? So we think this is going to be absolute breakthrough in terms of how documents are signed and how workflows are created. Because again, think about how you onboard your clients today. You probably ask them a series of questions, right? You can create those, you can templatize those, send them a new client saying, hey, this is information I need from you. Make it real easy. It'll go straight to their mobile phone. They'll be able to fill it out online or on their device. You'll be able to track it via tasks. And when it comes back, you're all set. Okay? Everything gets filed right in the document storage solution. So again, I think that's kind of pushing the envelope and saving a lot of steps for you and a lot of steps for your client. So it should be good. The last piece, obviously, is the print driver. We are on track to have the print driver. That means you'll be able to print directly from QuickBooks, print directly from your tax software, print directly from pretty much anywhere. And it'll be able to push that document straight into Lisio. You'll be able to attach a message to it and so forth and send it right out. And it goes right in your filing system and it goes right to your client or wherever else you need it to go. Okay. That'll be out in January. So big releases this quarter over the next 90 days that are all starting to tie all these pieces together for everybody. So those are the highlights. That's where we are. At this time, I know I've been speaking a lot here, 20 minutes of just me here. So let's go ahead and open it up to you all. And I'll take questions. Tim and Emily, fire off. And while they're preparing there, just so you know, here's our contact information. You can email me. If you're not a client and you want to talk to us, I'd recommend talking to sales. If you are a client and have more questions, talk to me or to support. We'll be happy to help. Okay? Thank you.
Okay, awesome. So the first one I'd like to address is by David Rouse. Thanks, David, for joining us today. He would like to know, how does the Vault address our need to annotate files while working on a return, or will we still need to download files?
Yeah, annotation. Okay, thank you, David. We're looking at annotation stuff now. So a couple things. One is it's not there today, but it's something we're going to look at hard in Q1. And for those of you who haven't been who aren't aware yet, the way we push things is we tend to work around tax cycles. We wanted to get the major features, such as Liscio Vault and e-signatures in before tax season starts. Then during tax season, we tend to do a lot of refinements. So one of the refinements we're looking at is this annotation feature. We would be interested, David, in knowing what you're using today to annotate. We've been talking to firms, some are using TicTac, Calculate, some are using Adobe Acrobat and so forth. We're likely going to put a plugin into our system to help you annotate live in product. We just haven't figured out which one to do yet. So we're open to that. But I would certainly say that we're looking very carefully at it on our roadmap at this point. Okay.
Okay, next question comes from Alan Levinson. Hey, Alan. He's wondering, will it show both signers on a joint engagement letter?
Yeah, if you want to use the eDocs for signature, you'll be able to attach multiple signers to it if you want, and it'll show both. It'll send a task to both, so that'll be an option. So you can continue to use our existing in-product signature platform, engagement letter process, or you can use the new eDocs one if you have multiple signers. So we'll cover both.
Awesome. Okay, next one from Dave Yoshida. Hey, Dave. He's wondering, will the eDocs have the ability to choose one out of several options? So if they say yes to an answer, can they answer a question below?
Yeah, I think that has a lot to do with form design, right? So Dave, the way I would look at this would be, a lot of government forms will have, did you blank, and it'll have yes, no checkbox. And then you can put those checkboxes into our product, into eDocs, okay? And they would click on one to check it. And then typically what I see a lot in the government forms is they'll have a bold, italicized text next to it saying, if the answer to this question is no, skip to question 2, right? So I would treat it like those, and that's how it would work on a fillable Adobe PDF or on a blank piece, on a physical piece of paper. It's going to come down to form design, right? That's going to dictate how the user moves through it. And then we'll have the radio buttons, fillable text fields, and signatures all available to you in the authoring tools that your clients will follow. Okay?
Got a few nice comments on the print driver. Dave, James says it equals amazing. And Jenny said, woohoo. So a lot of people excited about that one.
Oh, let me give you a caveat though, before you all get too excited. We're not going to have one for Mac. Let me know if that's going to be a big problem, okay? I think everybody's using Windows. Windows is our delivery in January. I'm a Mac user, so I want it for Mac, obviously, but I don't get it in phase 1. But I want to put that out as a caveat. For those of you using Virtual Office as well, print drivers need to be installed. So if you're using a remote or some kind of hosting provider, there's going to have to be an install. So we'll work with your hosting provider to get it installed, but just know that it's just like installing a print driver. There is a physical install on the device, okay, or on the computer. So keep that in mind. But yes, I think it's going to be a game changer. So very excited about it.
Okay, so another question about Print Driver. They're wondering when will it be available?
We're targeting January. So here's our lineup. It was get Liscio Vault out. We're fine. That's what we're doing now. We're really on to Edocs, so we'll have that out in about 6 weeks. In parallel, we're already working on the Print Driver. So we see late January as being likely. That's our best. That's our best estimate this time. And the notion is we want to have it there because we think the heaviest volume is going to be in and around tax season, which will really perk up February 1, right? After all W-2s are filed. So we want to have everything in place by then. So we are racing toward that. Okay.
Okay, so next question comes from Diana Stevens. What about building the radial buttons in the tax questionnaire of templates?
Yeah, that's an authoring tool. So I think I have to go check. I know we have check boxes. I have to check see if there's a radio or not. We can look into that. So Diana, why don't we do this? And Emily, let's take a look at what we got after this call, and Diana will send you a note on that, okay?
Okay, so then the next one, Beth Burkeen, wondering about the cost of eDocs.
Buck a doc, no minimum. We're going to put out bundles, really. So if you want to, if that's, we even have a lower price bundle, but what we're doing is we're embedding a third-party signature provider, so we're passing the cost on, and we're using LexisNexis for Kba. So Kba is a little bit more, obviously. I think the going rate for Kba, I think, is $5 if you want to use that. But in general, we're not asking for an increase in subscription price or anything. It's pay per use. So Beth will talk to you about that based on your needs. But you can buy bundles or you can go one at a time. Up to you. If you think about DocuSign, I think for those using DocuSign, it's $70 per seat per month, and you get 100 documents per month. So if you're using something like that, we think will bring your total software costs way down just on a standalone basis. And then obviously a lot fewer clicks, a lot fewer uploads and downloads. Okay.
Okay, one from Don Schroeder. He's asking, can he use for example, a hard drive on his computer to open a document, work on it, save it back to Vault without inputting a password?
Not sure I understand that. So if we have a hardware drive that has a file on it, we want to work on it there. I mean, in order to be in Lisio, we need to authenticate you are who you are. So there's always that part. If you're logged into Lisio already and you want to drag and drop the file into us, there's no password required for that, as long as you're already logged in. That's the key.
Okay, so then the next one, Diana had asked if KBA is $5 per signature.
Per document. So typically a document has one or two people who need to go through the KBA. So we'll take a look at that. We might actually, that's actually a good point. I'll see if our developers can do this. We still have time to tweak the billing engine. I'll see if it's going to be a per document or per signature fee. I know it won't be $5 per signature. I know that. I think it might be $5 per document that you can have multiple signatories on the document. Okay. But let me reconfirm. I think the only question would be if there's only one person on a document that needs a KBA, can we bring the price down? We'll take a look into that. Also, I think this might be important, Diana. My personal belief is most of you who need KBA are going to use the Lisio mobile app for at least a substantial portion of your clients. And here's why. When I say mobile app, what I mean is you'll send them the 8879 or whatever document is, you'll have them print it out and sign it, For example, if you send one to me, my spouse is not going to want to go through KBA. It's not what she does. So it's easier for me to print it out my printer right here. We'll both sign it at our kitchen table. I'll use the Lisio app to take a picture of it and get it back. That process is fast and free. I think the challenge that we've heard from a lot of our clients about KBA is it's great for some section of your clients or some segment who don't have printers, for example. But KBA, I think the failure rate on a knowledge-based authentication for spouses, if you have two per 8879, the failure rate is going to be probably in the order of 20%. So 1 in 5 aren't going to be successful with it. It's just the questions are inherently, challenging, right? They're supposed to be challenge questions. So we think that there's going to be a pretty stark divide. And I know many of you on this call who are Lisio users aren't planning on using our KBA feature because you've been really successful with the print and sign and take a photo feature. So I think there's going to be a mix. So when you look at the cost, I think look at it on a blended basis, because I don't think you're going to basically be paying for every signature for every client you have. I just really don't think that's going to be the case. But we'd be happy to talk to you about it. We're happy to talk about best practices and so forth. But our whole point as a company is to provide you with a no commitment, right? We're not no increasing your subscription price, right? Use it if you need it. Mode to complement the print. So you have a fully electronic and you have a semi-electronic hybrid mode for your clients to work with. Okay, so that's our goal.
Okay, so then our next question here, are files live or do they have to be downloaded and uploaded into Vault?
I think what you mean there is, and this goes back almost like to the annotation bit that I think David had a question on earlier. So let's say you have an Excel file or a Word file. Can you modify that file without having to download it and then modify it, then upload it? I think that's the question. That is certainly on the roadmap. We have not built that yet. We have not built, for example, that would be an Office integration where you install an Office widget that allows you to do that, to edit a file without uploading, downloading. We're going to build those widgets in, I'm hopeful, in the first quarter. So yeah, so we're not all the way there yet with Vault. There's always more to do, but that's certainly something you should expect from us in the not so distant future.
Gordon Schaefer would like to know if Lisio Vault costs additional money.
Not for you, Gordon. No, we're not. Our existing clients, we're not raising price. This is a free to use feature. We're happy to take on the storage costs and so forth. We want you to be successful. That's our goal.
Okay, next question here. Let's see. This is from Lori Federico, and this is going to be, will we be able to send e-signatures in bulk?
We've been playing with that. I think the answer will be yes. We haven't started with that yet. The issue there, Lori, is we're not positive that the UI is going to be intuitive enough. So let's say you have multiple signers, or you have a signing order or something like that. What if you send a bunch of stuff in bulk and that stuff isn't tuned right? We're afraid that it would cause some fair amount of chaos. And our thought process, and we could be off on this, but our thought process is we're going to put this out in December, and we're going to start to really have you all put it through the paces and let us know. Because I know many firms, for example, are going to use this to send tax questionnaires. And a lot of firms are out there, at least a lot of the firms we speak to, have been using the U.S. Postal Service to basically print and send, print, ship, all kind of one at a time. And we think that even our digital process is going to be, even if it's one by one, is going to be much, much faster than that. But if we can work with you, when I say you, I mean you, Lori, and anybody else collectively as a group, to understand exactly how you're using this, and if a bulk send will be really helpful to you, we are all ears. Okay, we're just not positive exactly how you would want that to work. So we'll put this out there. You'll have it roughly December 1st. Talk to us in December once you have your hands on it. And if a bulks feature can be really helpful to you, we will look at that ASAP. Okay?
We have a few people asking what radio buttons are.
Radio button basically it's always present. Basically, it's binary. So it's either like left or right or top or bottom. It's got a button. One would be yes and one would be no. But there's always an answer. Where it's like if you have let's say you have a checkbox for yes and a checkbox for no. Some users, if they really aren't paying attention, might not click either of them, or they might click both of them. Yes and no. People do some crazy stuff, right? But if it's always a binary yes or no, the button's always present. And if you click a yes, it can't be no. If you click a no, it can't be yes, right? So radio buttons can be useful for ensuring you get a binary answer.
Okay, next question for e-signatures. Does a spouse have to have a separate login, or can they both sign under one login?
They must have separate login. So this is important. If you think about DocuSign, if you think about HelloSign, if you think about Adobe Sign, think about all the signature providers, they all require something to basically confirm identity, right? And what they're doing is, and the government requires this too, what they're doing is they're using email as a way to associate an identity with essentially something that is owned, when that thing that is owned is an email address, okay? Without that, there's no tether to anybody on the other end of the wire. Okay, which is why you have to have a separate login for each person.
Okay, the next one here. Let's see. The next one is, can we have the ability to send, and this is Stanley Dean, can we have the ability to send text reminders from within tasks like we do with messages?
We're trying to, I think theoretically we could build it. I get this question quite a bit. Theoretically we could do it. The challenge is what we want to do, Stanley, is we don't want to overly bombard people with text reminders because, as you know, your clients can unsubscribe to a text message. So what we're trying to do is use text to make sure that they install the mobile app. Because like we saw earlier, once the mobile app's on their phone, you win. The mobile notifications will go straight to it. They'll have fewer steps to get into what they want to get into, right? And I think, and this is always, there's always a little bit of gray area here, right? But some people, if they have a clamshell phone, of course, they won't be able to install the mobile app, which might be why you're asking, right? If you have those clients who really aren't doing anything, with a smartphone. So, but if they do have a smartphone, you 100% want to get the mobile app on there because no matter where they are, they're getting a bank loan, they're doing anything, without their computer, they always have your files, your communication, everything on the mobile phone, which means fewer calls back to you. That's the behavior we're trying to drive. And that's the majority, we believe, Americans, particularly wealthy Americans who can afford our services in general, have smartphones. It's high 90s percentile, right? So we're trying to solve the high 90s case without actually disenfranchising them by spamming them with too many text messages. So there's a little bit of a balancing act there. So what we encourage you to do is continue to get people to install the mobile app. That takes care of it. You don't need to send a text message. I do think we can refine the product more, and we'll look at this next year, where if they don't have the mobile app installed, we can keep on, teasing them by using text messages until they do install the mobile app. And if they never install it, obviously text messages will keep on going. But we've been hesitant to put a send text message button on everything because people might overuse it, which might lead to people unsubscribing from text messages, which is a terrible downside, right? Because as you know, anti-spam laws require that we allow them a way to opt out. So we've been really, towing the line, if you will, on that, and trying to be, intentionally not overly texting and trying to get people to drive people to install the mobile app. That's where we are on that.
A few people are wondering if we can help move files to Lisio.
Yes, we are doing that at present with several firms. If you have an interest, just send us an email. We'd like to get to know more. We're doing this very carefully at this point. As you know, many many of our clients have very, very large quantities of documents. So we're working on ways to essentially move years of documents over without the hundreds of hours of time to do it manually. So we are carefully working our way through a process to extract, essentially transform, and then load the documents into us. So a lot of it has to do with the specifics of what systems you're using, how easily we can get the documents out, and so forth. So it's more of a trial. We're doing it on more of a trial basis this quarter for a select number of clients, and we'll probably start to heavily automate it and be able to move things heavily in bulk without a lot of your intervention as we progress through the first half of next year. Okay, but if you have 20,000 files, it would be literally hundreds of hours of work for you. We don't want that to be the case. We want to take that burden off of you. That's one of our goals. So talk to us. We'd love to know more about your specific systems, intentions, et cetera. Okay.
Okay, next question. This one's a little bit more aimed towards support, but I think it's a good one to answer here. Kim Rath has asked if they said, if you guys send a message to support through your Lisio account, do we answer? And our answer is we don't actually monitor your guys' Lisio accounts. So the best way to get a hold of us, Chris has up on the screen, and that's going to be support email by phone or live chat.
Yep, that's right. And I think just so you know, there's two Lisio accounts. One's our corporate account that many of you have used to sign up for Lisio and so forth. The other one is we have a support team login or support team user in your Lisio account when we start, and we use that just to get you going, and you typically will deactivate us later, right? Don't use that one because we don't monitor that. That's really talking to your account. And Emily, your volume dropped off, cut off a cliff. We could still hear you, but it was pretty muted, so might be mic positioning.
Okay, let me know if you can hear me.
We're good.
Okay, great. Next question. Will you still be able to have clients e-sign documents such as engagement letters through tasks for free, or will we need to pay for those e-signatures with eDocs?
Oh, that's still free. Yeah, we're not changing. We don't want to take anything away. We just want to add, okay? So we're adding a lot of heavy functionality that would cost us a fortune to build, right? So everything else works as is, no takeaways.
Okay, we have a question about the print driver from Gordon Schaefer. Can you install print driver to TR UltraText in Virtual Office?
As long as in Gordon, this is something we haven't tested. Don't tell TR it's from us, first of all. I don't think they would necessarily appreciate that. But just say, hey, I got a print driver I need you to install into VO. If they can install it, which they should be able to, it shouldn't be a problem. We haven't tried it in practice yet, so I can't say definitively yes. I don't see any reason why they wouldn't be able to do it. But it's Thomson Reuters, and they charge for everything they do, right? So it's a question we have outstanding. But my guess is print drivers are something that are just very standard for them to install. They shouldn't have a problem. Okay.
Another one for print driver. Will the print driver auto print to correct client, or do you have to choose the client?
We're going to want you to choose the client. I think a couple of things there. For those of you who use our messaging, for example, the first thing you do is you choose a recipient. So just because you pick a client doesn't mean we're done, right? So let's say, the client is Acme Company, and Acme Company has 5 different people, who have relationships with that. We can't auto pick one of the 5 or all of the 5, right? We're going to want you to specify who of the 5 is going to get the file, right? And when you pick them, and that's the first thing you pick, then you pick the account, right? So it's not going to be much additional work. And we're not publishing just to a generic account. We're publishing messages and files and so forth. We're pushing those to specific people. So, so that's going to be our MO there.
One from Karen Bear, Pro Series requires a printer to be defined. So how will that work with Lisio?
So typically, and I would want to see exactly what that means in Pro Series, but typically, a printer, let's say in a Windows environment, print drivers are installed, right? And effectively what happens is the Windows operating system recognizes all installed printers by virtue of having, I think it's a DLL file. So what we're going to do is when you install the Lisio print driver package, it's going to inform the Windows environment that there is a new printer that is available. And it's going to look and feel to Pro Series, just like there's a new hardware printer on the network, okay? And what you'll do is you'll hit print, and instead of printing Hewlett-Packard LaserJet 3 or something like that, it's going to say print to Lisio, okay? So if Pro Series, and I imagine Pro Series has this, it has a print menu that allows you to pick which printer on the network to print to, or to print a PDF, what have you. In the hardware printer dropdown, after installing our package, it's going to say print to Lisio, okay? That's all you need to do. So it's installing that, it updates the Windows DLL, makes it available there. It would be just like printing to any other printer. That's how it'll work. Once you hit it, it'll actually invoke the Lisio, print driver app, and it'll show you who's it going to go to, how do you want to tag it, what's the message, if any, and so forth. You'll hit send, and that's all you need to do.
All right, one from Jill Bailey. Wondering about Mark Private. It's set as default. Can that setting be switched?
We started out, and I think that's a fair question. I think we started out with this notion that if you all didn't know how this feature worked and started to associate files with people thinking they would be private, then we would be in a situation of oversharing. So our tack was it's better to lean toward being more conservative, particularly if you hire somebody new or something like that, saying, hey, here's a file for this client. Can you make sure it's in their account, right? Doesn't mean send it to them. I mean, just make sure it's in their account, right? So we're worried about, people who haven't used this before. It's safer to say it's not shared than to automatically assume it's going to be shared. So that's been our stance there, Jill. I don't know if that's right or wrong, but we tend to lean, our thinking tends to lean towards don't get you in trouble, right? So that's why we are where we are. We're happy to continue the conversation on that.
A few have a question about the app and email notifications. They say some clients are downloading the app, but really would like email notifications shut off, but it is not currently a feature. Is this going to be possible in the future?
So this is a tough one for us. So let's say we gave your clients the ability to turn off email notifications. And then let's say your client replaces their phone and doesn't install a Lisio app. They wouldn't know that you're trying to communicate with them necessarily, right? So our stance has been to always be firm leaning, right? I would prefer to send an email just for assurance's sake to your client to make sure they're responsive to you, rather than potentially create a gap where they wouldn't be responsive to you. There are ways around this, and we won't necessarily tell your clients this unless you want us to. But if you have a client that's really quite savvy, and I always tend to look at it, everything's a bell curve, right? You got clients who are great, who are never gonna have a problem with it, and you certainly don't need the email notification. That's fantastic. We're worried about the other end of the spectrum where you got clients who, if they could turn off an email notification just because they just want to, for all the wrong reasons, right? I couldn't be bothered. Then we're going to be creating gaps for you. So we're worried about that end. if you have clients who are good, you're not worried about them, you can send them to us. And what we can do is we can help them build a filter for their email, whether it's Outlook or Gmail or whatever, that'll pull it out of their inbox and put it somewhere else they want. We can put it into a special tag or a folder or something like that. So they'll still get it, but it's not going to be visible to them. They'll get it if they want to go look for it. Okay. We don't offer that as a normal service because we don't believe it works in your favor. Okay. But if you want us to do that for some of your clients, just send them to us and we'll do it for you. Okay.
One from Deborah Highlander. Can you please allow us the option to change a file that was originally marked as private to not private?
Yeah, we should have that. But there's two caveats. Caveat one is, so let's say you upload a file just generically. Just go to Files, click on Upload File. Upload it, mark it as private. It's now private. In fact, I can show you this. Product demo. I need to go to this one. Okay, upload file. It's private. I'll send it to Amy, and I'll browse for file. Grid. And let's do a quick tag. So this is going to be a private file. Okay. We changed it now. So in here, you now have a share button. I can come in here and I can send a message or have you. I can actually add this to Anne. And I can add this to anybody else I want and share it out. It's now going to be shared with multiple people. Okay. So that's possible. The only places we don't do this is if you attach a file to a to-do or if you attach a file to an internal note. Both of those are meant to be internal files only. This is particularly important because, as you recall, David a while ago asked about the annotation field, right, or annotation feature. If you start annotating files with internal notes, you don't want your clients to see, right? And we allow you to share like an internal note file, which is almost certainly, for internal, there's certainly a much higher risk that they'll have, information that your client shouldn't see. We don't allow you to share those two types of files yet. But in general, if you just have a generic private file, we do now allow you to share that with clients and others. Okay.
Okay, Aaron Menzel would like to know if you can archive a file if you unarchive a file if you accidentally archived it.
You know the answer to that one, Emily.
You sure can.
Yeah, you can do that. Just there's a couple ways to do it, but you can pop out here. Obviously, anything that's active is active. I go to my archive. I can pop in here. Can we do this in bulk, Emily?
I believe so. If you scroll to the bottom there.
Yeah, unarchive. You can even unarchive in bulk. Select all the ones you want to pull out of there. Tap it, and I'll bring it back out.
Let's see. Sarah Weekly would like to know if we are going to be hosting a webinar covering e-signatures and e-docs.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm hopeful we'll do that very first week in December.
Okay, another one here. If you send KBA as an option, are you charged if they print and sign instead of e-signature?
I don't know. I think so. I think because here's what we're doing. If we send, I think this, and I gotta confirm this with LexisNexis. So we're using LexisNexis as the out of wallet identity service provider, and I just not up. I know our developers know. I'm just not up to speed on this, but I believe that if LexisNexis servers are accessed for that, right? So somebody clicks on the KBA to go through the process. I think that's what triggers the fee. Okay. So if you sent it, but they never opened it, I don't think there's any charge. But so anyway, we want to be careful with that. Just treat it like you would a DocuSign or something, anything where you're doing a pay per use, treat it like that. Okay.
A few people have a question about an open API channel in regards to other softwares, including on VO Docs?
We're heading that direction. So if you have specifics you want, and they have an API that is open on their side, we want to talk to you. Yeah, we think it would be very complimentary. If you want to use OnView Docs for back office and you want to use us for front office, we could give you, and I think the intent would be to give you on the screen here, drop files attach, have, for example, in that specific example, OnView sitting here. We would be very interested in that.
Okay, let's see. Somebody would like to know if we can explain how to delete a document that's attached to a file. Or excuse me, attached to a message. A message.
Yeah, sure. That one's easy. So you can come out here. If we know it's attached to a message, I can go to a comparison grid. It's attached to a message here. Just click on message, right? So I'll show you that again. If you click on the file name, it'll take you to the file. If you click on message or multiple or whatever is shown here, that takes you to the audit trail. Okay, so I click on message. That shows us how we shared that. There's the message, the time, etc. There's the file. If you want to remove it from that message, click on the X and it'll delete it from that message. And it's no longer shared that way. Okay.
Okay, somebody, Vicky, is asking if you don't need KBA, is the DocuSign free?
No, no. The electronic documents, basically, we're hopeful you're replacing a whole other system, right? So if you're using, I think most people in the profession are spending money on a subscription basis for DocuSign or HelloSign or what have you. You're going to be able to let that subscription go, and you're probably going to save money because even if you're paying $50 a month or whatever, you're probably not sending 50 documents per month. I don't think many firms are doing that. So if you're sending 20 a month, let's say, per seat you have, and you're spending 30, 40, 50, 60, $70 per month, we're going to be a much more cost-effective, just on a pure cost basis, we're a much more cost-effective solution, much less all the time savings we're getting you. So what we've done is we've negotiated a bulk rate for pay as you go instead of paying year round whether or not you're using it, right? That we think is going to be economically leaning in your favor. But we're trying to pass that on to you and recoup. If you're better off with your existing solution, by all means, you think that's more economically viable for you, stay there. But for most of the firms that we've been working with, we don't see that being the case. You're getting essentially licenses for everybody in your firm without having to pay for a license every single month, right? So, if that isn't the case, if you think the economics are not leaning in your favor, we'd like to know it. But thus far, we think it's a pretty good deal.
Chris, if you will, one more time on pricing, KBA and Signature.
Sure. KBA is going to be $5 per KBA. That's industry standard, typically for 8879s. Documents we're going to have bundle options. We're going to have buy packages, right? Standard package would be $1 a signature. But we're going to go ahead and publish those. I don't think they're final, but for most of you buying packages, it'll be $1 a piece. If you buy a larger package, it'll be less. If you don't want to buy a package at all, it might be a little bit more. If you're doing 2, 3, 4 documents a year, right? We'll give you, the price might be a little bit over $1, but that's in general where you're going to see this when we formally release the product and the pricing. Okay. Okay, we're almost out of time. Let's do actually one more, if there's one more. Otherwise, we'll call it.
I think this would be a good one to cover. Aaron Menzel would like to know, does that charge include federal and state?
What I would do is I would take the federal and the state form and I would put it in the same task. So here's what I'd do. I'd upload the federal form and upload the state form into the same task, right? Put the signature fields on the federal form, put the signature fields on the state form, and it's 2 for 1. Hope that makes sense. So a lot of great questions today. I think we did 20 minutes of taking a look at the product and 40 minutes of questions. So tremendous. I thank you all for staying and spending the time with us. As you know, you can reach out to us anytime. Tim, Emily, myself, the rest of the team, we're all here to help you. And I'm hopeful we love engaging with you. It's how we learn. If you think we've taken any wrong turns or missteps, et cetera, we certainly want to know about that so we can think better. We don't learn unless we hear from you. So please engage us, please reach out. Hope we can be helpful. And until the next time, have a great day, everybody. Thank you.